Okay, so I'm in Nacht, Untoten, and I have to apologize for the lack of audio the last video, but in OBS I didn't have Black Ops 3 listed as a sound source, and I didn't realize that that would be an issue, even though I had a capture labeled Black Ops 3 audio setup that I thought was capturing it, so now we have sound. I'm going to demonstrate some of the things I was talking about last video. Ignore this tile slab. But I've done some work to the texturing of Nacht, Untoten, and I've added the original ceiling, but this will be replaced soon because this upscaling method is not good, so I'm just going to find a better substitute. But these walls, I found a substitute, and these are new textures. These are Black Ops 3 textures, but I tweaked them to look like the original concrete lined wall, bunker grade wall, whatever it's called. Yeah, so these textures are all custom and they look pretty good. They're not upscaled, they kind of look upscaled, but they're not, I promise. So yeah. So I'm gonna let these zombies come in here because it's very dark out there, but I'm gonna demonstrate the new knifing sound. It's a lot softer, it's more wet sounding, but before I didn't have it set up properly, so... And here's the nuke. So the only reason it's dark out here is because I don't have this area out here probed. I attempted to probe it yesterday, but one of the probes had an area width. I guess it was too high and it was airing out whenever I would build it, so it's a probe neighbors issue, but the probes in here work still, so. So in the Black Ops 2 version of Nacht, Untoten, obviously you know the staircase is broken and it's blocked off, but I'm wanting to keep that, to keep the vibe of the Black Ops 2 version, but also because nobody really wants to open this area anyway when they play this map. They just want to go over here and open this door, and I'm going to demonstrate when I open this door what I'm trying to get it to do and what it's not doing. So what I'm trying to get it to do is work via physics, where it just falls over this way, like in 5. And I've got the right parameters set up, but for whatever reason, for some reason, it's doing this. I'll show you. It's not supposed to do that. And it's not because it's clipping into this thing or anything, it's just doing that. I don't know why, so I'm going to have to consult some people on that. But for now, that's going to be how it's going to have to be. So, when I walk out here, there is collision, but there's no zone and the terrain's clipping in, so I'm going to have to adjust all of that. And we have the barricade boards up here are models from the bus. And I understand that there's new ones for the Black Ops 3 version, but they don't look as old and decrepit as these ones, and these have good textures on them, so I'm not really concerned about it. There are sound issues that, and fixes that I've made that I want to demonstrate, so I'm going to turn it to round 20, and the only reason I'm going to do this is so that they can all crowd around me. In the DLC 5 pack that was cut for Black Ops 2, obviously you know all the maps that would have come in it. It's all the 4 original World at War maps. It's pretty much every Black Ops 1 map except for, I believe it was Call of the Dead. One Black Ops 2 map, which was Origins, which was also planned to be released with DLC 5. But then, obviously, it was just Origins when it came out, because they had to cut all the extra content to get people to play Ghosts, which ended up not being to people's likings. So, in Nacht, Untoten, what you're seeing are the actual wall buys that they proposed would be suitable replacements for this map when they remastered it. So you have the SMR, which was a previously unseen wall buy in Black Ops 2 as a whole until Chronicles, and in fact, there were a lot of lullabies like that. We saw the AN-94, which, actually, no, that was already... I go to the one example that wasn't what I'm talking about. Executioner, the FAL, the, Ballista Iron Sights, I believe they did for Chronicles and not for Origins. I believe that they just ended up repurposing their idea for a ballista to replace a World War II Iron Sights weapon when they did Origins, and they decided to use it anyway. That's at least my theory, but we also had guns like... what else did we have? Because I know we had a few. We had the FAL OSW for multiplayer actually made an appearance in Zombies in, Verrupt and a few other maps. There were, in fact, a lot of multiplayer weapons that for some reason got chosen to be included in Chronicles, I guess as a celebration piece for the pack. So yeah, I basically carried this over. Now I was debating that because this is a point of interest area that is relatively small, that I would cut the SMR and bring the Ballista over here, but I don't really think that that makes any sense, to be honest. It's fine the way that it is. Now, my only issue with their version of Nacht or Untoten in Black Ops 2 is the DSR-50 was used as a cabinet buy in Nacht or Untoten, even though in the original Nacht or Untoten, obviously we had the Car 98 on the wall over here, and in the cabinet it was just a scoped version of it. So my idea is that instead of putting the DSR-50 in the cabinet, since you can get it via the box anyway and other mediums, why not just put a scoped version of the Ballista in that cabinet instead, which is what I will be doing, and I'm going to demonstrate the damage profile, if I can name this right, of this scoped Ballista. This will be a significantly more powerful version, but it won't be too overpowered. See, it's round 20. And again, the zombies are stalling. I may have to figure out a way to get them to spawn primarily in this area over here, instead of all the way over there, since this whole area is basically just the cornfield zone, as it's named in the scripts. Not verbatim, but, you know. Of course, you have the SMR, too. I'm gonna grab that. So I made changes to the SMR. For those that are not up to date, I actually improved the SMR quite a bit, but not in a way that makes it overpowered or anything. It's still it's just a viable option, but not necessarily the best option. So now its damage profile is going to be very similar to the M14. There we go. And now, for the other thing that I wanted to demonstrate. For some reason, with Black Ops 3 modules, it's so unorganized and shit in its building premise and structure that there will be issues like this that just persist no matter what you do. So I'm going to play it, and I'm going to assume that it's going to be exactly how it was before, but I may be wrong. No, I am wrong, okay. So that's how the power switch sounds now. Sounds a lot like, a lot quieter, a lot less eventful, but more of just a loud thump sound when you switch it, so... You can hear that, there's sounds looping. There's a power loop on the switch. Now, one of these sirens, I pay homage to one of my hobbies, which was fascination of air raid sirens. Particularly these. This is called an STH Model 10 by Federal Signal, this particular siren. And I had a friend get it for me from Black Mesa. I saw that it was one of the prop files in the whole pack that I was looking at. And I was like, you gotta rip this for me and convert it to a Maya file so I can use it. So that's what he did. See here here it is right here, and there's a sound that plays on it when the power turns on. That is actually real audio from an STH-10, but it's pitched down a lot so that it matches with the other sirens, so that it's not really a different tone. It just adds to the ambience of the power turning on. And I'm also going to demonstrate some of the reverb features here that I've set up. So I'm going to turn spawning back on. Now I understand a lot of this geometry is quite bare. It is going to be adjusted, and there is going to be a lot of detail that I add. But I'm going to turn the voice back up. So over in the tunnel, there's a newfound zone issue that has been happening, and I don't know what caused this or how to fix it, but it just won't work. Spawns in here just don't work anymore. There's no reasoning for it. They don't spawn in here, they don't spawn out of the ground, there's nothing, and when I try to bring zombies in here, they all die off. But there's no zoning issue. Like, if I turn Godbone on, it's not gonna kill me. See? So I'm fine. But for whatever reason, it just doesn't work. And I also have some probing and subbleed issues. Once all that's fixed, it'll be fine. I know in older updates, all of this was fine and it worked, but when there were issues that came up that I needed to fix, I ended up just opting to redo it all. And here's one of the replaced textures that I've done so far. This is all one texture, one material that I made. It looks pretty good. I'm going to demonstrate a weapon I actually added recently. I'm going to mark the feet. Of course, the upgraded version. There's that sound, power-up, like, surround sound effect that it has when you're in buildings. Just sounds really cool. And it sounds loud now, that's only because I turned everything else down. But it sounds normal in game. This I've mostly finished. I still have to do these little chunks. The chunks in the wall. And in here. Let's see if the collision's fixed. I remember I was falling through the floor. Okay, yep. It's all good now. I didn't have collision here. I need to do that. I can just get out of here. Alright, I'm gonna check this area out now. I'm gonna turn the zombie voices back up. And then turn the game audio down just a tad. That's fine.
This'll put down some of the zombies. What's you and my son get fighting?
Alright, so I'm not sure if there's really anything else sound-wise that I should demonstrate. I know this, I gotta tweak this and tone it down to about a quarter less than it is at the moment. Where's the other part? There's a third part that I'm missing here. Oh, there it is. Okay. So in my last video, I was a bit critical of Sphinx's Pack-a-Punch script. And that's no fault of his own by any means. It was just because I didn't set it up properly. But at the same time, his script isn't really modifiable. It uses like a name identification system instead of just defining target names, and I'd rather just be able to define target names so that I can have full control over all of that. What is going on here?
I'm afraid of you. I'm afraid of all of you.
I'm not sure why they're getting stuck in the barricades. Because this should not be, all of a sudden there's just an issue with this. You know, this is the difficulty of these mod tools. You do something that you think won't have any effect, and then everything's screwed up. So if I go into, yeah, it just ends there. So that's something I'll have to fix. And also these walls, I'm really not satisfied with how these walls are. There's a lot of warping going on, and for some reason when it's compiled, it gives this part like a seam that's not supposed to be there, and I want this to be 3D, but I may have to just make this a decal or something so that I can put a flat plane there. I don't know. I've tried everything. I've tried setting it to detail. I've tried making it a model. I've done everything in the sun I could possibly do, and for some reason it just insists that this crease is added, because it's really trying to optimize the geometry here, and I am not happy with that. I'm really not happy with that. So you can see it's very obvious that it's just all kinds of messed up. And also it's like kind of, oh, I guess not. I guess it's just, yeah, it looks like it's all bent. Now, one final thing I want to touch on is that with reverb, all of this is custom reverb I'm using. And the reason behind that is because Black Ops 3 reverb, the default presets that you have, focus very heavily on sounds echoing a lot, as though you're outside, even though you're indoors. It makes areas sound louder than they're supposed to be. There's not a lot of delay or cutoff for the reverb. There's no decay for the reverb. Even if you're in a tight quarters like this, there would be a very quick uh, decay. And if I get close here to the zombies, you can hear how it's supposed to sound. Actually, let me go over here. So I'm going to turn it up. This is how the reverb is supposed to sound in a tight area like this. Because it's only bouncing off the walls that are immediately right next to them. Now, the issue that I'm talking about is the reverb that I have set up. For some reason, it doesn't carry. So I have to get close to zombies to hear the effect that I want. But as soon as they start to get farther away, the reverb just kind of ends, or it gets very, very quiet. And it's really not supposed to be doing that. I've tried messing with the master returns, but it's only using near reverberation effects at the moment, which just means you're near the zombies. So it's only using that. And I'm sure that the other types of reverb are playing the farther that you get away from the zombie, but I think it may just be a volume issue that I need to fix. So, anyways, I will be posting updates when I can, a little more frequently as time goes on, because I've noticed that there's a bit of an increase in interest in this topic in the TranZit remastering situation that's going on. And somebody mentioned to me that I'm actually, I mean, not to brag, somebody mentioned to me that it seems as though I'm way farther than everybody else on this map than I am. I thought I was behind. So it was kind of making me rush a little bit whenever I was working on it, but that's kind of why I've been not working on it as much lately. It's also due to lack of motivation. You know, I've been in the same bedroom for 7, 8, or 9 years now at this rate, and I'm kind of tired of it, and I deal with sleeping issues as is. I did just get the surgery, and that's helped quite a bit with my snoring and whatnot, and of course my voice. But in terms of energy and motivation, you know, I wake up in the same room every day. I don't have a job to go to because I really can't go work because of my trade school situation. But I've been off on medical leave, and you would think that that would give me the motivation to work on it. Um, and I'm motivated to work on it, but I just don't have the energy to sit here and put all of this time and effort into it. So um, I have I live in my parents' house, and they have an apartment in our basement that was built for my brother and my sister-in-law when they were expecting their child, and they've been moved out for a long time. So all it needs is cleaning and painting, and then my computer and my living situation, and just all of this will be an entirely different environment. It's going to be a different sleeping environment. I bet it'll fix my sleep schedule because it's just going to be different. So my body's going to adjust as though it's just different. And whenever I sleep in a different environment, I get a much better sleep than when I sleep at home on my bed in the same spot that it's been for like 2 or 3 years. You know, in the same room that I've been in for like 7, 8, or 9 years. You know, and I think I'm just tired of it. I'm just really tired of being in the same place. And I know that I can go out whenever I want, but I don't have a lot of money, you know. I don't have a lot of money for gas. I don't really have any friends that I can go out and hang out with in person just because I'm very picky about who I hang out with. And in my area, there are a lot of car people that really like cats, and they're really loud, and in my personal opinion, they're kind of socially inept, and they're not patient enough to have deep conversations with me, which is something that I want to do. But I need to understand that those people are just not my kind of people. I'm more of a dog and nature person. I don't like to be doing loud, crazy things and working on my car till all hours, putting turbos and stuff, and taking the muffler on it so it's loud as possible at 2 a.m. in Granny's neighborhood, waking her up and then at night she's like, "Oh, Harold, they're driving through our neighborhood loud again." You know, that's not the kind of person I want to be, because those people are kind of assholes, if I'm just being honest. If you do that, if the shoe fits, you know, but if that doesn't apply to you, then it doesn't apply to you. Anyways, that's just kind of my situation. Um, I wish my development was a little farther than it is, but you know, when I look at issues like what I have right here that I can't remedy, like this right here, I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just reduce the detail? Because this little piece here is a 3D indentation here that this texture wraps around. So I may have to add a piece of geometry here. But then because it's complex, suddenly now I can't UV map it properly to the texture. It just won't happen because it's complex geometry. So I have to plaster it as a lamp, which means it's just a flat tiling with no clamps or restraints or anything like that. And then just kind of adjust it and move it to where I need it to be and stretch it out and hope that I don't do stuff like this right here in the meantime. So it's just a lot. It's a lot. And, you know, if I could, I would do all of this lining and these indents and all these decals and stuff just as separate things and make this into a model I can copy and paste, but it's easier said than done, you know. So it's a lot of work, and this top part's done, but you see they have these gaps here, and everything's kind of mismatched, and this is just how it used to be in the map initially. In fact, there was an area over here, I think it was one of these studs in this corner, was the geometry for this was like shifted downwards, so it's a bit of a mess geometry wise. And you have a pipe here. Oh, I thought that was okay, never mind, that's how it should be. But yeah, so I have that going on, and I think the mix match between old textures that have been upscaled and they look better but they don't look very consistent in pixel depth, the a lot of the color depth is gone after the upscaling, and they get kind of messy, you know. And then having that mixed in with all these new textures and new materials, it's a bit of a lack of consistency, which is something that clashes with me and how I operate, which I opted to be fine with and complacent with for this project. um, and I kind of have to be that way if I want to have the desired effect that I want to be, or have rather. Like, this is new right here, but then we have these old pipes going into it, so I gotta get those props. It's a lot of work. And also, I've had a couple people reach out to me and offer scripting help. I had Little Robot, who's a very prominent scripter, who's very, very talented. He's been working on the bus for what seems like about a year now, and I'm not knocking his speed or anything like that. He's doing fine. But he hasn't sent me any pictures or videos of it. He said he would at one point and he never did. I'm sure he just got busy. But he hasn't finished it. The last thing that I've heard of was, you know, I was having targeting issues with the zombies getting onto the bus or following the bus, whatever that meant. You know, that's fine. You run into these issues, you know. But I guess what I'm saying is, when I don't see progress in certain sectors of the map or the project, it makes me feel like I'm not progressing anyways, even if I am working on it. So a lot of the times you see these abandoned areas where I'm just not working on it as much. Like, I'm sure Bus Depot has some work that needs to be done. Um, Not really. I mean, I could add a seam right here. Oh, I've already done that. Oh wait, no, I haven't. But I guess that's fine. See, you have these cables, you know. Um, and then the tunnel. I'm gonna turn this off. Okay. So with the tunnel, using the old textures, they're upscaled. This looks fine. This looks okay. The asphalt looks okay. But then you come to these bends, and because it's so complicated to set this up because it's on a curve, oh, that's messed up again now. That's great. You can see that the obvious, like, old gen situation here. And then you have these, this is where fire is supposed to be. And also these cars. I haven't been able to find a car that is a good replacement for this. You just get stuff like this where it's just unfinished. It's very obviously unfinished, and then you know, and then I come into situations where I see this asphalt here, and even though I did a pretty good job on this, it makes me think, you know, maybe I should have used asphalt debris models. It was recommended to me, but I was like, no, I want to have control over it. I want to make it look like the original, but with more detail. And I think no other area in the map really captured this besides this little area right here. I think I did a fantastic job on that, but um, my consistency with my work in this is different than the other areas. And you come over here and the sun's just bleeding through because, you know, there's no sun shadow call. And then you have textures that I applied properly, and then now suddenly they're just rotated the wrong way, and there's this little square right here that I don't know where that comes from. You know, it's frustrating, it's difficult, and especially the probing. The probing is so infuriating because at Nacht and Untoten, I had pretty much probed this entire area all the way around out already, and it looked fine. But then when I go to build it, oh, one of your probe neighbors is greater than 0. I'm like, what does that mean? Are you gonna elaborate? No, because it's Black Ops 3 mod tools. Of course, it's not gonna elaborate. You know, little things like that. You know, you come to these crutches, and then I see this work that I did here. That it is admittedly pretty bad. That obviously needs concrete breakout models, which I tried using on this part. Couldn't get the effect that I wanted, so I just patched it out how it was done originally, and left it at that. So I will be going back to that at some point. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and a lot of people who are working on this map already are not dedicated, or not. No, they're not. It's not that they're not dedicated. They're not using these old textures like I am. So they're not running like this texture is fine. But they're not using the old textures. They're using all new textures, and because it's a lot simpler for them, they're able to get farther, and they feel more committed, and they feel like they can get somewhere. And then when it comes to me, it's like, oh well, it needs to look the same but better. And then I run into it's just more work for myself, but I don't care. I want to make it look as good as it can look. I want to make TranZit look like TranZit, but just better, easier to see. You know, you come into these thick fog areas and you can just see what's ahead of you, you know, even though it looks the same, and that's the desired effect that I'm going for. You remember when you used to come out here to the trains and get lost? Well, you can't really get lost anymore. You know, I mean, it's going to be much darker out here for sure, but you can still see. You know, you come out to the cabin, and it's not probed in this little area right here, but the cabin is just so complicated, like all these little wrapped around chains. You know, and also an issue I never really talked about is all these logs here are models, but they haven't I haven't found in a Treyarch title or a Raven Software remaster title all of the different variations of these logs at once, like in the game. I've only found like half of them, and then like one of the like 4 or 5 different log types that I'm missing, in a Treyarch title, and then I go to set it up, and it just looks totally different than like this right here. Does this look good to you? There's no depth to this. It just blends in. Okay. Like this right here. Does this look good to you? To me, it looks terrible. There's no depth to this. Why does the bark just blend into the layer underneath of it? Why doesn't it look like this right here, where it's obviously defined to be, you know, some depth there? You know, it looks so much better, you know, when you come over to one of these. I don't know. You get what I mean. Like this one over here. This I believe is a Treyarch model, and this looks fine, but on some parts it just looks horrible in my opinion. You know, and I would model all these myself, but I'm not a modeler. And I had the other guy that was scripting for me. He said he's doing models. He's actually working on redoing the turbine parts right now. And I told him, don't worry about the mannequin. I have the mannequin. Um, and because these people who are helping me too are, you know, they're just busy with life. They don't have all the time in the world to sit down and work on these things for me. Even though I understand that, to me, it taking so long to see stuff and then either not seeing it at all or seeing very little of it makes me feel like, man, I'm never going to get this stuff. I'm going to have to rely on other people's projects to get done before I get the remastered props, and then nobody's going to want to play this because Zellion Dobbies is out first, or Zellion Dobbies is better, or Verko's is better, and nobody wants to play this because there's already a TranZit remaster out there, and this looks arguably worse because all the geometry is hand done. Different things like that. It's just very complicated. It's a complicated situation. I did get these tires in. I replaced these tires. This back tire looks good. The rest of this truck, though, it's gonna be a pain in the ass. I bet you there's at least 50 different materials, all hashed, 50 different mesh names, all hashed. I'm gonna have to go through and name them all, which I'm going to do. I'm not just gonna skip out on it and not name them because they need to have names, but, you know. Alright, well, enough of my rambling. I'm gonna try to get the ash effects and the ember effects back into the game, at some point soon. But I think I'm doing pretty good. I know I'm too hard on myself. I know that some of these details people probably won't even see, but you know, that's not the point, is it? It's just the effort is the point, you know. So I'll leave it off at that. Hope you all have a good night.